was a corpse. Something very large had punched through the man's body, back to front, exploding ribs outward. Probably it had exploded guts outward too, but after a day or two in the river, most of those bits had gone missing. The fish had gotten a good meal there. They'd gotten his eyes too. It was fairly gruesome, but you got used to that sort of thing. Normally bodies were brought to Piper's workroom, in a cool subterranean storage room near the Archon's palace. But it was fairly obvious that moving this one would cause it to fall apart, so they'd sent a runner for him to come to the river. "Any idea what happened to him?" asked Captain Mallory. Piper shrugged. "If somebody stabbed him in the heart and then tore his chest open, I couldn't tell you." He squatted down. Drowning was always so unpleasant. Things got soggy and bloated. The dead man hadn't been in the water long enough to get truly nasty, and the water was cold enough to keep decay to a minimum, but it still wasn't pretty. "I can tell you he's been in the water a day, maybe a day and a half. Not much more than that." "How do you know?" Piper nudged the man with his boot again. "The catfish haven't cored him out completely. If he'd been in there for 2 days, he'd be mostly catfish by weight."
"A human isn't joking," said
the gnole constable, nodding to Piper.
"A gnole has seen catfish eating."
Stephen the Paladin rubbed his hand over his face. "We do have exceedingly voracious catfish," said the redhead, with understandable civic pride. "What could have made a wound like that?" asked Mallory, refusing to be sidetracked by the local ichthyology. Piper studied the wound. Even assuming that the local fish population had been at work, there had been a great deal of trauma to begin with. The man's chest looked as if it had exploded outward. "Something big," he said. "Someone help me roll him over." The 2 paladins immediately took an end and flipped the corpse over. Mallory scowled but didn't argue. The corpse's back was ragged, his head bashed and misshapen. Whatever had taken out his back had gone in at an angle, only just missed the spine, and left a gaping hole the size of Piper's fists. "Most of this is from being banged about after he died," said Piper, squatting down next to the body. It stank, but they always did. He wiped his nose. "A warhammer could have caused the chest to break outward," said Stephen. "But it doesn't punch a hole in the back like that. Perhaps some kind of maul with a sharpened end?" "Gored by a bull?" asked the redhead. "That might do it," Piper nodded up at him. "Didn't catch your name?" "Galen, formerly of the Saint of Steel. Now I serve the temple." "Yes, I figured that much." Piper gave him a brief smile. He really was very good-looking. Cheekbones you could slice cheese on. "That would be a remarkable bull," said Mallory, "to make a hole that size." "There's still some aurochs in the woods upstream," said Stephen. "Or a demon could have taken a normal cow. They do like to possess livestock." Mallory grunted. Piper looked down at the body. He didn't want to do the trick. He could do it, but it was unpleasant. And none of these men were stupid, and might have questions about why he was touching a dead body with his bare hands and getting a vague expression. Anyway, it wasn't as if the cause of death was all that mysterious. Piper was pretty sure that the man's last sensation had been of being struck very hard in the back. It might not even have had time to hurt. He pulled out his dagger and leaned forward, probing at the wound. There was something inside, which might be a very disgruntled catfish, but might be significant. Too deep in the wound to get with a dagger. He slid 2 gloved fingers inside, trying to get a grip on whatever it was. Ha! When he looked up, Stephen was pointedly not looking at him. The paladin had turned slightly green. "What are you getting squeamish about?" asked Piper. "You've seen dead bodies? You've made dead bodies." "Yes, but I didn't